We are wasting time. Majority of the time we've wasted is our young years. From, I want to say, 18 to 25 is the time where it's like it's almost given that we waste majority of our years. Now, everybody might get it. A lot of people might get it early and on, but the majority of us, we were just out doing whatever we wanted, being in the world, being distracted, just everything you can think of. And we've already wasted those years. And then now we're trying to waste years on top of this by letting distractions, and then on top of that, letting fear, by letting what other people think. So much things that we've created in our own head that nobody else is creating. When you think about it from an outside standpoint, looking in, and you look at your whole entire life and ask yourself, who honestly is stopping you from doing each and everything that you said you wanted to do?
Like, there's no other way to say that. Your parents weren't perfect. They did the best they could. Maybe they divorced. Maybe they're crazy. Maybe one's crazy and one's not. Who knows? They did the best they could with what they had. Now that you're an adult, it's on you. If you're repeating the crazy patterns, then you are equally as nuts. You got to stop blaming the parents for the problems that you have and start taking personal responsibility. No one is coming to save you. And as much as you think that whether it's the government or your mom and dad or someone is going to come and save you, they're not even the cops. Like, if something goes wrong in your house, you are the first line of defense, not the cops. When you call the cops, they get there in time to draw a chalk mark around your body and your loved one's body because, well, guess what? You weren't able to defend yourself. And financially, no one's coming to save you. Emotionally, mentally, no one's coming to save you. You have to understand that. You are the knight on the white horse that's going to gallop in and save yourself, save your family. And so once you take on that personal responsibility and understand that no one's coming to save me, it's on me.
People only root for people who don't need it. Like, the amount of times when I was on my lonely path where I was too different from the friends that I had, but not successful enough to be friends with the people that I wanted to be friends with. That's when you want people to root for you. That's when you want people to support you. Once you've already won, people are like, he's amazing, he's so good. But like, that's the time when you need it the least. And so you always have to be the person who roots for you before everyone else does. And it's usually a single clap in the auditorium for a very long period of time. It is a slow clap that's just you rooting for you. And that visual, I think, is one that you can kind of take because it is, people struggle to do things alone.
I mean, what's like the cycle of wealthy lifestyles is you start off poor and you work really hard, you make some money, and then you become the private jets and the yachts. And if you actually become a royal, what do they do in their spare time? What do they do for fun? They put on disguises, they pretend to be poor, and they go about the hoi polloi. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people want what they don't yet have. Alan Watts kind of talked about this in a spiritual way, which is, what if you were this kind of entity that could have any kind of experience that you wanted? Like, what if you were actually in control of the life that you were experiencing? Well, at some point, you'd go through these lives where, okay, I was a king and I was all powerful and I got everything that I wanted. And that would kind of lose its luster. It would lose interest to you. And so you'd kind of like up the stakes in order to feel something, which would mean giving up control and giving up awareness that you ever had.
Well, I think partly because life is so difficult and challenging that unless you give it everything you have, the chances are very high that it will embitter you, and then you'll be a force for darkness and not good. And so, the fact that life is short and can be brutal can terrify you into hiding and avoiding, but it can also, you can flip that on its head and understand that since you're all in anyways, you might as well take the risks that are adventurous. And that's a very good thing to understand. And what is also useful to understand in that manner is that there isn't anything more adventurous than the truth. This is something that took me a long time to figure out.
Words, excuses. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? I can tell you a big reason, a very prominent reason why we're making excuses, why we're blah, 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 blah. It's because of our ego. When something goes wrong, when we don't do what we're supposed to do, when we fail in terms of our discipline on a daily basis, when we fail, when we drop the ball, when we don't get it done, it hurts our ego to admit that it was us. So we use a bunch of words and a bunch of blah, 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 blah. And sometimes we blame inanimate objects, which is kind of comical and kind of ridiculous, right? People blame inanimate objects for their own shortfalls in life, okay? The donut somehow snuck into my mouth. Right?
Sure, yeah.
It's the donut's fault that I'm freaking I got powdered sugar all over my face right now. It's the donut's fault. Or the alarm clock decided it wasn't going to wake me up today. That's the alarm clock didn't go off. An inanimate object. But it's the alarm clock's fault, not mine. You've heard that before, right?
Yes, sir.
The bed covers wrestled me to keep me in bed. You ever heard someone say, I couldn't get out of bed today?
It was too comfortable, or it was too cold, or it was too warm, something like this.
I at least have heard someone many times say, I couldn't get out of bed today. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get out of bed today. Look, was it the pillow? Was it the warmth? Was it the whatever? I don't know what it was, but I know that they're telling me that their bed caused them not to get up. They're blaming their shortfall and their failure in life on an inanimate object. Yeah. So this is totally freaking ridiculous.
Take little actions, okay? And don't worry about the great macro actions that none of us have really control over. Do what you can in the immediate sense. People who are so certain of the future, who know exactly where they're going, who have a very clear idea about where they're going to be in 2 or 3 years, I often say, how boring, how uninteresting. Life with a bit of uncertainty is fun, is exciting. It's like a spice inside of it. It's a bit of mystery. I don't know where I'll be in a couple of years. If I planned everything about my life, if I tried to make everything certain, I wouldn't be able to live. I wouldn't enjoy myself. So some degree of uncertainty, some degree of open-endedness about the future is good. But too much open-endedness, too much uncertainty is crippling, right? So you have to be able to have a little bit of a dance in this world. You can't do one or the other. It's not like you have to be so certain or drown in uncertainty.
You drop something and it breaks, well, now you have an opportunity to practice some detachment. Now you have an opportunity to practice your emotional control, because if that's making you mad, that's a problem. It's not good. Gives you an opportunity to practice some ownership, because guess who broke it? You did. You're the one that dropped it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a good opportunity to adapt and overcome, because now you've got a situation that you got to clean up. Maybe you need to recognize that you can't control what you can't control. The only thing you can control is your response. And the type of human being that you should be aspiring towards is someone that when the glass drops and breaks, you go, I'm going to grab a broom and I'm going to sweep this up. You don't yell, you don't scream.
It comes down to this for me. How do I want to be remembered? And that's the problem, man. Like nowadays, people don't give a fuck how they're remembered. They don't give a fuck about their family. Everybody's equal. Their mom is equal to them. Their dad's equal to them. They're growing. Everybody's fucking equal. With a lot of people, they don't have that in them. Their parents raise the kids very differently now, so the kids don't have that sense of self. And I believe in self-discipline, self-pride, self-motivation. No one has that self anymore. That self is gone. So that driving force that tells you, I have to do this shit, I took great pride in the fact that I was nobody.